Welcome to this new edition of this video, the updated version if you will, talking all about gathering your resources. So you might notice in the rest of the videos that my hair's a different color and also I don't have a beard. That was the old version of this program. This new current version, I want to make sure that we're getting things from the past that actually worked for you and bringing them front and center to be able to align with what your intention for doing this program, this mastermind actually is. So the big thing that we're going to start with is you've all gone through some version of formal education, whether it's, basic schooling, tertiary education, trade school, certificate programs, diplomas, whatever it is, you've gone through some formal type of education. We're going to be able to dispel all of the nonsense that happened inside of that, whether you applied yourself or didn't. We're going to go back into our bodies and find the resources that we had from the past of a time that actually mattered, where we learned something that we were inspired by, that we were motivated to be able to complete, and where we just captivated ourselves the entire time. So I'm going to teach you how to do exactly that right now. And the way that we do that is to be able to remember a time in the past that you learned something really, really easily. So you might notice that my tone of my voice changed a little bit. I'm going to be doing that periodically throughout this program because I'm trying to elicit something out of you using a bit of hypnotic language. I'm not hypnotizing you per se, but some of you might actually be in trance right now. It is what it is. I want you to pay attention to everything that I'm saying specifically so that you can do the thing to the best of your ability. Don't not worry about what's going on. Let your unconscious to take care of you so that you don't have to struggle to be able to learn this easily. You can try even to find some enjoyment inside of this. So let's get into it. Like I said, how do you remember something from the past that benefited you? What you do is you close your eyes, you take yourself back into a past, into a time that you learned something really easily, that you were excited about. And whatever happened right there, there's something that happens inside of your mind, isn't there? Either there's pictures, whether they're moving or still, there's sounds associated, there's feelings associated, maybe even you're smelling something and you're definitely feeling something as well. All of these are called submodalities. We're going to get into that into future videos, so don't worry about it right now. But the main thing that I want you to do is just notice. All we're doing is just exploring our mind, because we're all able to explore our mind. In fact, it's actually a great thing if you were curiously exploring the way that you think, feel, and act, because all three of those things, they happen simultaneously. So we're going to go back into time again, and we're going to bring it forward. How we're going to bring it forward is there's going to be a circle. So we're going to call this our ring of power. The ring of power is a great place for you to be able to step into, to be able to be immersed in all of the things, all of the criteria that you saw, heard, smelt, touched, tasted, and felt. All of these things are going to be able to be brought into the future, into the here and now, and you're going to be able to use them easily, effortlessly, if not unconsciously, front and center right now, to be able to make sure that this program happens easily, that you're going to be able to absorb all of the things that I teach you, all of the things that I show you, all of the skills, resources are going to be absorbed easily into the unconscious mind. You're going to be able to do, be, have, and experience anything that you want to and therefore choose to and take massive action towards in the rest of your life because of this decision that you make right now to be able to go all in. And going all in is easy as that. It's so simple, so simple. So inside of this ring of power, standing about one step in front of you, I want you to imagine, and it's easy to imagine because everyone can imagine. Remember what it was like being a child to be able to imagine the mystery world around you, the imaginary world around you? You can do that easily right now. It's the same way as bringing it into the here and now. See what I did there? So we're going to have a circle sitting in front of you on the floor, and you can enjoy it in whatever color you want to. Me, myself, this purple, I love this color purple at the moment. So my ring of power is all purple. And the thing that we're going to do, talking about bringing forward our resources from the past, is to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a time in the past that you see yourself learning something easily. All of the sights, the sounds, the feelings, the smells, the taste, everything that was current. And I want you to bring them into your body right now. You might notice a few things. So whatever you saw, heard, or felt, that coming into the now, you're going to be able to immerse yourself right now into those thoughts, feelings, and sights, and sounds, and all the other criteria that goes on. You might even notice, it's a good thing to notice, that your heart rate has started to calm down a little bit. Your thoughts are a little bit more aligned. You're noticing that there's a lot more attention, a lot more dopamine going on because you're getting something out of this. And the thing that you're getting is the ability to learn easily and effortlessly. So what you're going to do is inside of that circle, I want you to literally grab from your head and you're going to put it inside of that circle right now. And the way that you're going to do is we're going to stack this up. Because it's energy, it just moves. It's sitting inside of this circle circulating. And you can circulate it however you want to. It can be clockwise, anti-clockwise. Hell, you can even turn it into a toroidal field where it's moving in and outside of itself, but it's circulating in and around the circle. Whatever color it is, whatever way that you do it is perfect, up to you. And what I want you to do next is think of another time. So close your eyes, take yourself back into the past, and I want you to notice a time where you learned something easily, effortlessly, something that excites you, something that inspires you, something that you had so much curiosity and creativity to be able to apply yourself with. Whatever that is, whatever you see, whatever you heard, whatever you felt, I want you to bring that into the now, reach up to your head and be able to pull that memory out, and I want you to dump it into your ring of power and allow it to circulate in and around, however way that you do it. Now we're going to do it a third time. And this time, this is going to be the catalyst. This catalyst is going to be able to be the most important one, because you haven't gotten to that yet, have you? The most important time back in the past where you're going to notice a time where you learned something. Maybe it was riding a bike, maybe it was doing your multiplications, maybe it was learning how to kiss for the first time. And whatever it is, I want you to close your eyes, take yourself back into the past, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt. But this time we're going to immerse ourselves into it. And instead of just merely dumping it in from our mind into the ring of power, I want you to put your hands on your heart and carry that into the moment. And you're literally going to get up from wherever you are and take a step inside of that ring of power in 3, 2, 1. Lock it in place just like that. I want you to remember that this space inside of the ring of power is always ready for you anytime that you want to. Maybe you're doing this program while you're sitting down at your desk. Maybe you're doing it on the couch, in your bed, at work. Whatever you're doing, that ring of power is always there. And ultimately, all you have to do is to be able to visualize it sitting on the floor in front of you. Just take a step into it. Take a step inside and notice the immersion that starts to go on. All of the resources of the past are here front and center. And because you've chosen to do this easily, effortlessly, no problems whatsoever, it has happened just the way that I said it was going to happen. You might even notice some funny situations and sensations going on inside of your body. These are all completely normal and natural, and this is actually how you start using our neurology, using our mind to be able to make sure that all of our resources, all of our abilities, all of our beliefs, values, and things that we're going to talk later in the program are going to be front and center for you, by you, for the rest of your life. This is it. What you're done here is started to unlock your true genius. So strap in, because we're in for a wild ride. Let's step into that circle once more time. I want you to take a deep breath in, breathe out, and as you step inside, notice the sensations. For me right now, I feel calm, I feel peaceful. I feel like I can have and experience anything that I want to and choose to and take massive actions towards. I know that because I'm standing in my ring of power right now. I've got this beautiful toroidal field of energy moving around me, through me, for me, by me, and I can do anything I want to. Knowing that in this state now, and that state is very important, that you can tap into it whenever you want to. It's there 24/7 for you to use. And so step out, and I want you to notice, hey, what's the time where you are right now? What's the time? Quick, check the time, pull out your phone, pull out your watch, whatever it is. What's the time? Whatever it is, that doesn't really matter. What I was doing was I wanted you to be able to notice something completely different. Something completely different, like the temperature or the weather or, the time of day, whatever it is. But now, one more time, really, really associate yourself. I want you to take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and step inside your ring of power. As you step inside, notice all of the way that things show up for you, all of the way that your mind quietens down, aligns your focus, provides you loads of dopamine. Your breathing calms, your heart rate calms, and everything else that happens. Take a deep breath in, step inside in 3, 2, 1. Locked in place. Much like a Tupperware lid locking in place. You know that sound, like it locks in place, like 3, 2, 1, just like that? Exactly that. That's right. So now, it might sound a little bit funny the way that I'm talking, but what I'm doing is I'm helping recondition your mind to understand that this is the way moving forward. I'm helping you become best friends with your mind, the same way that I'm best friends with my mind. Sure, I'm your unreasonable best friend. I'm going to be able to make sure that you are staying on task, that you're going to be able to be the best version of you possible. I'm going to hold you to a very, very high standard thanks to the R.Y.S.E Movement to raise your standards everywhere. But your mind and you are going to become best friends. I can guarantee you that right now. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let's get on to the next one. Thank you. This is the framework that we start with. We start with the what. You need to know damn specifically what you're aiming at. Otherwise, how are you going to know when you hit it? How are you going to know when you're off course? What are you going to do when it doesn't work? If you don't specifically know what you want when it comes to how you think, feel, act, what you see around you in terms of your space, in terms of the things that are happening in your life, and ultimately comes down to experience. What do you want to experience in your life? Life is experiential in nature. The things that you experience in your life are either up to your standards or not up to your standards. The results that you're getting are either up to scratch or they're not. The reason why I called my business the R.Y.S.E Movement is because everything starts with standards. The what is all about the standards that you have in your life. So the standards that you have in your life currently are what a previous version of you in your unconscious wanted. That previous version of you may have wanted everything that's going on in your life right now. Or maybe a previous version of you is self-sabotage to get where you are right now too. Wherever you're at in your life right now, it is because a previous version of you was focusing on this, what they wanted to think, feel, do, see, and experience in their life. Remember the saying that I said from the initial introduction video? You can do, be, have, and experience anything that you want and therefore choose in your life if you're willing to put in the action. So we're gonna get damn specific on everything that you want to experience in your life. Everything you want to do, everything you want to see, everything you want to smell, taste, touch, the F word, and experience in your life. Because it's your life on your terms. You are in the movie, you're the star of the show, but you're also the producer, the director, the writer, the financer. You're the one who has to do everything. And that can seem overwhelming. And that's why you have your unreasonable best friend in me helping you stair-step every single way. I'm gonna break this down as simply as possible because I've done all of the complicated courses. And ultimately, it comes down to these three things here. So because a previous version of you wanted, consciously or unconsciously, the life that you're currently living, or has self-sabotaged consciously or unconsciously the life that you're living, we are going to start on the what. Click the link down below. There's going to be a separate video that's attached to my YouTube channel, which is all about goal setting. It's a podcast that I did, and it has a link to be able to do the goal setting document. I want you to set the time frames on it, specifically 12 months in the future, so that you can return back to it and revisit it and see how far you've actually come. You need to create a SMART objective around specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The moment you do all those, you put it into a powerful paragraph that you read every single day as soon as you wake up and before you go to bed. There's a special reason for this. We'll get into that in a separate video. But the reason for this is so that you can cement it into your mind and become that person you want to become. So after you've done the goal setting document, you've watched the video, watched the podcast episode that I made to be able to break it down very simply. I want you, like I said in the previous analogy, talking about that you're the writer, the director, and everything like that, you're going to write your own story. I want you to write a dream, specific dream day in the life of your life 12 months from now. What do you do? What do you see? What do you hear around you? What do you feel? Who do you interact with? What do you do for work? What are your friends like? What do you train like? How do you think? All of these things need to go inside of it. And I'm going to give you the big key here to any kind of story change in your life. Put emotion to it. The more powerful the emotion, the better things are going to be. Perfect example here. While we're talking about the story, you might be sitting here thinking, I don't know if this is right for me anymore. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Notice how you're currently sitting, standing, whatever you're doing, listening to me with this. What is your physiology doing? What is your body doing? What's your energy doing? Do you have nice, high, open energy with your chest up, head up, you're embracing everything that I'm saying? Or are you sitting with your shoulders slouched? Is your head down? Are you a little bit down and out? Your physiology affects your story. Your physiology affects the things that you want from the what. Your story is tied into how quick you can change your energy, and you can change your energy in the blink of an eye. You don't believe me? I want you to do this. Stand up nice and powerful, like Superman behind me here. Put your hands on your hips. Stand here, take 10 really deep breaths in. And when you do this, they've shown in studies when people hold power poses like this, you raise your testosterone. Notice the smile on my face. I can't wipe this off my face right now. That's how fast you can get this shit to change. My physiology is changing, my hormones are changing, my energy is changing, my focus is changing. And I feel $1 million. Your state is tied into your story. It is tied into the why. So you need to write specifically all the things that you want to experience 12 months from now. Who are you going to become? How are you going to live your life? Write down your dream day in the life and do not even think about self-sabotaging. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to aim a little bit lower than you know that you're capable of. I'm going to tell you another thing here. You have truly unlimited potential. Like I said before, you can do, be, have, and experience anything that you choose. To truly get effective change from an emotional, subconscious level, you need to color this with this. Remember we were talking about the Trinity before, mental, emotional, physical health together, powerful paradigm. The mental story that you have is the physical story that you live. However, we live it experientially through our emotions, and emotions are energy in motion. I want you to remember it's those three together. Your story in your mind, coupled with your emotions in your experience, are the things that you experience physically. All physical life has to be perceived mentally. Everything we experience around us through the five senses, so what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, all of those five senses go into our mind, they delete, distort, and generalize, and they compartmentalize everything through our values, through our belief systems, whatever meta programs, whatever we've been taught, whatever is lurking in our unconscious, and that becomes our experience of life. It all becomes very fragmented data in our unconscious. So the more of these that you put into your story, the better it's going to be. The more you're going to be able to embody it. And finally, for this piece here, how are you going to do it? Once you've got the exact things that you want, you've changed your physiology, you can see your North Star, you know exactly what you're aiming at. It fills you full of emotion. You've got your story being written. It's colored with emotion. You can't wait to get there. You're so grateful that you've already achieved it mentally. You can see it in your own mind. When you read your purpose statement every single day, every single night, you read it and you get giddy, you get the goosebumps, you can't wait. You have this anticipation about you that's going to be able to create that future, that meaningful, that purposeful, deliberate, amazing future for your fuck yes life. The moment you do that, how the fuck are you going to do it? You need to create a plan. So the plan is in all areas of life. So if you notice in the goal setting document, it's got all 7 areas of life. You need to create the what, the why, and the how for every area of life. For this month, let's focus only on health, mental, emotional, physical health. After that, and you've started getting runs on the board, you're starting getting wins, you're starting ticking off things on your to-do list, and you're starting to feel really fucking good. Then you can worry about other areas of life. But while we're here right now, let's focus on health. I want you to make sure with your plan, you know exactly how you're going to do it. And here's a key. If you don't know how to do a gym plan, you don't know what to eat, you don't know what to do to be able to move your body, lose weight, put on muscle, whatever it is that you want to do, I'm going to give you the secret here. Use ChatGPT. I'm going to put in a separate video here. It's a link to another one of my podcast episodes. I'm going to show you exactly how to use ChatGPT to be able to get training plans, nutrition plans, to be able to figure out strategies for the plan, for the how of how you're going to move forward. And this is for every area of life. If you want a better relationship, you can ask ChatGPT to be able to tell you the top 10 best relationship books or the best relationship podcast or whatever it is. You can find information anywhere easier through ChatGPT in this time, in this space, in, February 2024, than any other search engine on earth. I'm going to show you guys specifically to get a training plan, to do all the things to be able to make sure that you can get ahead in life and be able to get those runs on the board. Because you need fast wins. To be able to make sure that you know that this isn't bullshit, you need to get a big buy-in and get a big result really quickly. So make sure click the link below to be able to watch the podcast episode, take notes, jump over to ChatGPT, sign up for a free account. Don't bother grabbing the paid version just yet, and then figure out how to ask it specific prompts to get the right answers. Because if you get shit in, you get shit out. So whatever prompts you put in, if it's not giving you good prompts out and good search results out, you haven't put in a good prompt. So make sure you watch that episode right now. Come back to this afterwards. This next part may ruffle some feathers. It's probably the most controversial part that I'll talk about inside of this, if this isn't already part of your mindset, but people matter more than you think. You've probably heard some of these sayings before. Like attracts like. Your vibe equals your tribe. Or the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, you become the 6th. If you hang around losers, you're going to become a loser. You hang around winners, you're going to become a winner. However, if you're trying to hang around winners, but your mindset is geared towards being a loser, those people are going to shut you out very quickly because they don't want toxicity, victimhood. They don't want sabotaging. They don't want negative energy around them because it's going to bring them down. They understand their energy because they are already winning. If you want to acclimate to that level, you need to join like-minded people that are on the path necessary of life mastery or goal setting or whatever it is to be able to become a winner. You want to be around whiners, you're going to be the next one. You want to be around action takers, you're going to start taking action. The people you hang around have an energy effect on you. You will start noticing things in your outside environment. Maybe it's in your family, maybe it's in your friendship groups or colleagues at work, and you're going to notice people that you are like that you like. If you want to transform your life, you need to create osmosis with the people you want to become. If you want to make long-lasting transformations like we spoke about in the previous video, you need to hang around people that are like where you want to be. People that have the success, have the love, have the fulfillment, have the mindset and the results to be able to align yourself to those people. If you hang around with losers, you're going to become one of them. If you want to hang around with rich entrepreneurs or family men or whatever it is that you want to become, create a paradigm necessary where you can hang around those people. I have done this my entire life. I didn't know that I was doing this. I used to hang around with absolute drop kicks. When I was in primary school in grade 4 or 5, I got put in detention for a week where we had to sit out in the sun by the vice principal at the time. Granted, it was the 90s, so this was accepted, because I was joining a gang in my primary school. Granted, I went to Narang Primary School, so it wasn't too far removed from what was going around in the suburb as it was, but I was hanging around people that I thought were cool because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be liked, I wanted to have friends, and I was hanging around with people that I thought I wanted to be like. So we were sitting out on the concrete in prison conditions is what the vice principal called it, because we all called ourselves a gang and we had tags and we had little graffiti things that we'd do around the school. That shit got knocked out of me real quick. I started hanging around academics. I started to hang around sporty kids. I started hanging around good kids after that because my parents found out that I got detention and I almost got suspended for this, and they whooped my ass. So I changed the way that I acted. I changed the people I hung out with. I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought I'm not going to hang out with these people anymore because I don't want to be in trouble anymore. Have a reflection upon your life to see if the people that you're hanging around are lifting you up or are they dragging you down. Are they sabotaging? Are they victims? Especially in this day and age. Like, it's February 2024 when I'm recording this, and the Victim Olympics is well and truly on. The amount of sabotage, the amount of victimhood, poor me, the out competing one another to get the most amount of oppression, the most amount of victim points is disgusting. It is absolutely abhorrent. And it is the thing that is going to keep you in a fixed mindset, and it's going to drag you down, it's going to make you fail at life. Like I said in the introduction video, I'm a straight shooter. I'm the unreasonable best friend. I'm gonna tell you how it fucking is. I know this because I've experienced it in my own life. I know what it's like to be down and out. I know what it's like to have panic attacks and poor mental health and stuff like that. It was because of the people I was hanging out with. I went through domestic violence because my partner was all I thought that I deserved. I went through that because that was my self-worth. Am I saying that her actions towards me, the violence that she put on me, the physical, the mental, emotional, the sexual abuse that she put me through, am I saying that's my fault? No, but it's my responsibility because I didn't know what I was worth. I thought that I was worth nothing because of the people that I was hanging around with. So you've got your what. You know exactly what you want, where you want to be in 12 months' time, what you want to think, feel, hear, smell, touch, taste, act, experience ultimately. All of the things that you want to experience, and if the 5 people you hang around with, you will become the 6th, you know that you need to change the people that you hang around with. You need to become influenced by higher standard people. You need to become influenced by people that are doing better in business, doing better financially, doing better with their health and wellness. You need to be able to put yourself around other people so that you can have the osmosis to be able to interact and exchange energy, ideas with people that are like that. There's a great saying that I want you to remember. Those people that like each other are like each other. So if there's people out in your world that you want to become like, all you have to do is start mimicking and modeling the things that they put out. So if there's people around you that you want to become like, or you want to emulate, or you want to learn from, get a mentorship from, or something like that, change the way that you act and interact with them. I don't mean do it overtly. I don't mean talk directly like they're talking. However, if you get someone who's talking with their hands like I do, and you want to build rapport with that person, talk with hand gestures the same way that they talk. If you want to get someone who's a little bit softer, a little bit more reserved, maybe they have a softer body language, they hide away a little bit, and you want to get in rapport with that person, just understand that they're a little bit kinesthetic. We'll go through that a little bit later. You will need to change your energy to be able to match where they're at. Thankfully, I'm not like that because I can't do that. Thanks to my ADHD, I'm a million miles an hour, 24/7. The only time that I ever slow down to that level is 1, if I'm going to sleep, 2, if I'm meditating, or 3, if I'm hypnotizing someone. I will change my speech and patterns. That's a whole other video. This here, because people matter, we need to create osmosis, we need to create proximity so that we can have power. All of these aspects are here of community. For your goals, for your smart objectives, you need to be able to think, where do people operate that are doing better than I am? Where are these people located? I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to do better in business, you hang around business people that are doing well. If you want to hang around people that are fit, healthy, and have a great lifestyle, you hang around in gyms. You follow the personal trainers. You follow the people that are in shape. Not all of them, because there's a lot of dickheads out there that are in the influencer space and that take tripods with them fucking everywhere in the gyms, and that's a whole digression on itself. The people that you want to be around have this. They have a growth mindset. They understand that potential and possibilities are endless. They understand that having a growth mindset and a pragmatic mindset where you see a problem, you see the solution at the same time. If you can't see anything but the problem, you need to be able to zoom out and see the opportunity that's around, see the circumstances that you're not being able to see. If you're locked into a fixed mindset, you're only focused on the problem, it's right in front of you and you've got the blinders on like a horse. You can't see anything else. It's one of Einstein's lesser known quotes. You can't solve a problem from the same level of mind that created it. So what you need to do is you need to step back, zoom out, and to be able to get into solutions thinking. And that's what a growth mindset does. If you're focused only on the problem, you can only see the problem, you need to be able to zoom out, step back, change perspectives and see what's the solution, what's the opportunity, what aren't I seeing? Maybe if I look at things from another perspective, I'll get a different point of view. It's all about putting yourself in a growth mindset so that you can understand that the possibilities are endless. The probabilities of you doing anything that you want to do are extremely high if you develop a growth mindset. To be able to create a tribe of like-minded individuals where you can acclimate to a higher level, to a better level, to a level that has more worth for you to become who you're meant to become who you could become, to be able to understand that you can have an experience, you need to be able to create a surroundings of people and the energy that have the same mindset that you want to have, that have the same energy, the same outlook, the same behaviors. So if you want to change your health and wellness, you start off with gyms. And I don't mean gyms in terms of like just pumping weights. I mean, what about Jiu-Jitsu? What about running clubs? Running clubs are huge at the moment. There's like a massive dating scene that's happening inside of running clubs as well. They're truly a force to be reckoned with. They're moving so damn fast, especially because people are so sick of the online stuff. People want to get in person. They want to create relationships in the real world because we know that this anxiety rectangle that you're viewing this through is really ruining our life. It's ruining the way that we regulate dopamine. It's ruining our mental health, and it's keeping us indoors and disconnected. Maybe you want to do jiu-jitsu. Maybe you've always thought about it. Like myself, back in 2010, I can remember the UFC fight. It was George St. Pierre versus Josh Koscheck. It was after the Ultimate Fighter season where Josh just kept ripping shit into GSP. And I watched GSP come in and put a boxing clinic on Koscheck. I watched the way that this man held himself, carried himself, the level of artistry inside of the martial art. I watched him hold himself to such a high standard that me, as a 21-year-old bodybuilder at the time, I was like, one day I'm going to do jiu-jitsu and I'm going to do it to the same standard that he does it. I'm going to carry myself the same way that he carries himself. And this was December 2010. I signed up to Gala Brothers Jiu-Jitsu in March of 2021 after doing Muay Thai for a couple of years, again revisiting that after getting injured and hurting myself and all the rest of the things, poor mental health, and I pulled myself out of it. And the way I pulled myself out of it was joining like-minded individuals. The moment that I started getting recognized, I started getting promoted, the stripes on the belt and stuff like that, I started getting that old feeling of, yeah, I can do it. I can do anything that I want to. And it took a while to be able to build myself out of it. Here I am, the other day I got my 3rd stripe on my blue belt, meaning that I'm only 2 steps away from getting my purple belt in probably the next 6 to 9 months. My goal for this year, if you can see on the whiteboard, on the vision board over there, is to get my purple belt by the year's end. I also want to get 4 gold medals in jiu-jitsu competitions at blue belt. Because I have a community of like-minded individuals inside of that gym, I know that I can do it. I've got the support of my professors and my training partners, my brothers and sisters that I get to roll with every day to be able to help push me towards my goals. So maybe gyms aren't your thing. That's okay. Like-minded individuals are at every other aspect of this place too. Have you ever gone to a hotel like the Hilton or the Marriott or anywhere where there's affluent business people or people that are doing well financially, have a greater quality of life than you do? Maybe it's time that you need to go hang out in there. Go have a coffee. A coffee's still a coffee. Coffee's still gonna cost you about $5 to $8 depending on where you go. But the people and the energy that you get to surround yourself with will transform the way that you see the world around you. Maybe you need to go to school. Maybe you need to join like-minded individuals in a different school. Maybe you need to go study a different certificate program. Whatever it is, there's people in schools that you're going to become like because they're going in the same direction that you want to go. The same thing for cafes. Like I said, with the hotels, go have a coffee, go have a beer with someone, go to an area that's in a CBD and maybe mix with lawyers if you want to become a lawyer. Maybe you want to do whatever it is that you want to do in that area. Go have a drink, go have a coffee, go have a yarn with these people. Connect in real life because proximity is power and success leaves clues. Maybe you need to go to different restaurants in affluent areas. Maybe if you're on the Gold Coast, you need to go over to Sovereign Island and have a talk to the people that are over there and ask them what they do, how they do it, why they think the way that they think, why they perceive money the certain way that they perceive money. Because the next thing that we're going to be talking about after this, after we've got the plan, is we're going to talk about all the psychology that goes into it as well. And I can't wait to get into that. Maybe you need to talk to business owners. Join social media groups, join like-minded individuals. I joined recently one of the Dr. Joe Dispenza groups on the Gold Coast, and I love the content that they put in there. I haven't joined any of the meetups yet to be able to do the meditations and stuff like that, but that's in the short-term future. I can't wait to surround myself with all the people that I want to become because it's going to make it so much easier. And like what you guys are doing here, you're a part of a mastermind. You're doing a mentorship with me. There's other mentorships out there that you can do that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg as well. Maybe you need to be able to spend some time with a business mentor or a fitness mentor or something like that, that maybe you can do some social media for them. Maybe there's a skill that you have that they don't have and you can exchange an equal energy swap to make it a fair exchange between you two. You never know until you start asking questions. And then the same thing, coaches. If you guys want a one-on-one coach, I've got a few spots left, so don't hesitate to send me an email, dave@risemovement.com.au. However, mentorships for me, they're done. I don't do mentorships anymore because the law of fair exchange just isn't up for what I'm capable of delivering. And that's not me being egotistical or anything like that. That's just me valuing my time and the exchange that it's worth. Like I've said, I've spent over $60,000 in the last 15 years doing personal and professional development to become the man that I am now with the results that I have and the knowledge base that I have, and that time is extremely valuable. When it comes to success, it's 80% psychology and it's only 20% strategy and execution. The thing with your psychology is you're driven by two things mainly, your belief systems and your values. These two things are unconscious in nature. What it means by unconscious is it means it's below the conscious mind, below your conscious awareness. You're not constantly having to update it and it's always going to be stored dormant in your unconscious mind. It's going to be, like I said in a couple of videos ago, deleted, distorted, and generalized into the way that you perceive the world around you. Your belief systems are built on certainty. I know that the sun's going to rise in the east and set in the west. I have faith that every single day that's going to happen, day in, day out, no matter what. The certainty and the faith that I have inside of the sun rising in the east and setting in the west means that I can delete, distort, and generalize and compartmentalize that into my mind. I don't ever have to worry about that ever again. When it comes to your values are the things that you perceive worth. Somewhere along the lines, someone told you that health matters, that business matters, or something like that. You have prioritized that inside of your mind, and the thing that gives you the most amount of stimulation is the thing that gives you the most amount of value and the most amount of worth. For me, health, wellness, purpose, my family are the highest of highs on my values list. They give me the most amount of stimulation. Being ADHD, I require a lot of stimulation, a lot of dopamine. So because I can train upwards of 14 times a week, jiu-jitsu, weights, cardio, conditioning, I get the most amount of stimulation. Makes me feel really, really good. Makes me want more of that thing. And I have certainty in my belief system that I know that I can do that week in, week out if I look after my body. So I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's a part of my belief structure. I know that health and wellness is really, really easy. I know it's click my fingers and I can create that. I know that I can look at a barbell and grow muscle. I know that I can also put on fat really easily. These are all the things inside of my belief system that you guys are going to go through and have a look at the worksheet down below. Click the link to be able to download it and have a look and see what your belief systems are. The reason why I want you to look at your belief systems is because of the following down here. What you focus on, you will find. So if you focus on pain, you will find more pain. If you focus on how terrible the world is and all the atrocities and the oppression and everything that's going wrong, you're going to be able to see more of it. However, if you focus on the good, the love, the joy, the bliss that you can have, how beautiful the smell of a freshly mowed lawn is, the smell of flowers, going down and hearing the waves crashing by the ocean, the laugh of your baby. All of these sorts of things are gorgeous, and we have both at all times. You see, the ancient Chinese Taoists, they had the philosophy down pat. Life is balanced. You know the yin-yang symbol? Black and white, a little bit of black in the white, a little bit of white in the black. It's balanced perfectly. And the line down the middle is the way. It's called the Tao. So if everything is perfectly balanced, but what you focus on is what you find, you're conscious of the things that you're focusing on, but unconscious to the opposite side. And this happens in all aspects of life. So the more things that you focus on, the pleasure, the things that you are causing, creating, the less that you're focusing on the effect, the pain that you're avoiding, the more optimistic, the more positive, the better life is going to be. There's always pain, there's always atrocities, there's always horrible things happening. But if you deliberately polarize yourself towards the good, you'll be able to see more good, you'll be able to create more good, you'll be able to experience more good. Being that success is 80% psychology, majority of human interactions are avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. If you know what you want in your future and you're aiming at your what, all the things that you want, you've done your SMART objectives around what it is to experience that, you put emotion into it, you're polarizing yourself towards pleasure. You're unconscious to the pain. There is equal and opposite pain to the pleasures that you're perceiving. But because your perception is on the things that you're creating, on the things that you want, on that straight and narrow path towards your North Star, towards experiencing the beauty and the gratitude and the joy and the love and everything else that comes with it, you're unconscious to the opposite side. I'm not saying that to dampen you down, I'm saying it to neutralize you, because this is a bit philosophical, but the swing of the left is measured by the swing of the right. You know those balls that swing left to right and they collect each other and they move equal and opposite reactions every single time? That's what life's like as well. If you don't deliberately create poison presence in your life, you'll be swinging to and fro. Look at the masses. Look at all of the people all over X, all over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the rest of the things. Oh, orange man bad, Biden good, this thing bad, this thing good. They're polarizing themselves and they're swinging to and fro. It's what the masses do because they're so down and out and they're so disjointed and so dysregulated, and they don't understand that because they're not using their mind, someone else is using it for them. They have no purpose, poise, and presence in their life, and their life is hard. The things that I'm trying to teach you guys is all of the hard lessons that I've had to learn over the last 15 years. I deliberately polarize myself to look for the good in everything because there's good in everything. Every moment that you perceive as bad has an unconscious good, no matter what. No matter what. Now, I'm not saying that it's your fault or your responsibility for if something happens to you. However, there will be good from the things that happen to you. There will be good from the negative things that you perceive. I promise you this. When it comes to evaluating your beliefs, every area of life, specifically starting with health, because that's the month that we're in, I want you to write down all the things that you believe, all the things that you have faith and certainty in. What do you believe about losing weight? What do you believe about food? What do you believe about everything to do with health? About your physical health, mental health, emotional health? What are the things that you actually have certainty in that you could say that the sun's going to rise in the east and set in the west? You have that same level of certainty. They're the things that you need to evaluate. And anything that is at the effect in causing you pain that is not what you want, I want you to shift your focus onto creating a new cause, creating some more pleasure, creating some more optimism, some more positivity. What's the thing that you want to believe instead? And that's the exercise for beliefs. When it comes to beliefs and changing your limiting beliefs, you need to repeat that shit to yourself over and over and over and over. The reason why I say this, remember the previous slide, the previous video, Success Leaves Clues? Go buy this book. Go buy this book, and if you want to do a mentorship through this book, I will guide you through it. This book here, Think and Grow Rich, it was written about 100 years ago by Napoleon Hill, came out in 1937. It has the exact blueprint for success to be able to think and grow into whatever form of wealth, whether it's in your health, your relationships, your business, whatever. That book is the key. Success Leaves Clues. I've read that book 7 or 8 times now. I've studied it in depth. I've done masterminds about this. That book is the key to unlocking your psychology. It is the thing that creates cause. I have so much faith and certainty inside of that book because I know what it's done to transform my life. Go buy the book. Go buy the book. And values. Anything that you value, you're going to put into a hierarchy. I'm going to give you a worksheet down below. Click the link down below, download a copy to your own Google Drive, save it to your desktop, do whatever you're going to do with it to be able to work through it. Your values are unique. No one else in the world has the same values that you have, to the same degree that you have. I want you to consider what are the most important things to you about health and contemplate that. Write down single, if not double word answers, and then once you've exhausted that list, I want you to rank them from most important to least important, numbering it from 1 to 20, whatever number you get. The top 4 numbers that you value, those are the things that create the stimulation that I could motivate you by those 4 things. Do the exercise and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. In regards to your life, what is most important to you about it? That'd be the values for your life. In regards to your health and wellness, what's most important to you about it? Write down everything. I don't want you to think consciously. I want you to do it automatically, unconsciously. Allow whatever comes up to come up, write that thing down straight away. And then list it from most important to least important. Whatever's in the top 4, that thing is going to stimulate the absolute hell out of you. If you only truly knew how powerful cause and effect actually was. Everything that is in effect right now that's happening in your life started with the Big Bang. That's as far back as we can measure the cause. It's interesting to consider, isn't it? Everything that's happening right now was created by you for you. Pretty wild thing to say. So if you have some things that are happening in your life right now that you're not happy with, everything that happened put you into this place where you're sitting with me right now. I want you to consider that everything that you create, you're going to do deliberate causes. You're going to create deliberate causes from here on in, if you haven't done so already. The deliberate causes that you have, you're going to evaluate the effects that come from it. Once you evaluate the effects, maybe it's not quite what you wanted. You're going to adjust and then pivot. The way that you pivot to new causes gives you new effects. Every time that you adjust and pivot towards the new causes, you get new effects. Every time that you streamline your archery towards the target, you get better control, better shot placement, better posture, better breathing, better trigger discipline, better everything. You become more and more aligned, you adjust and make small pivots. You're gonna hit the bullseye. You're gonna land smack bang right in the 10 ring. Every single time that you create new causes and you evaluate and then you pivot and you take massive action towards that thing, you're going to become more and more aligned towards your North Star. And your North Star, like we were talking about with your beliefs and values, is unique to you. No 2 people have the same beliefs and values to the same degree that you do. No one knows what your North Star is except for you. This is one of the greatest things about life is everything is feedback. With that growth mindset we spoke about a couple of videos ago, you understand that everything is happening for you, by you, created deliberately for you. You understand that the possibility and probability of experiencing anything that you want to is infinite because of your unlimited potential. You can do, be, have, and experience anything that you want to. If you only become aware of this, every cause creates effects. Every effect had a cause. And you can pivot, you can change, you can make adjustments. You can make massive course corrections if you need to. However, that's a pretty big cause that's going to create a big effect. I'll say it again. The swing to the left is measured by the swing to the right. Do you need to make big course corrections or do you need to make small incremental stair steps? A very crude analogy. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If you try to make these massive leaps and bounds, trying to take triple steps on a ladder, what's the chance you're going to be consistent and have discipline with it? Very low. However, if you're climbing a ladder and you take it step by step by step by step, you're going to get to the top because you're consistently creating discipline and action towards the top. Leaps and bounds and massive course corrections don't often work. Sometimes you're going to need to steer away from an iceberg. Sometimes you're going to be able to perceive it in the future and be able to make small course corrections around it so that you don't have to run into it or make a massive correction around it. You have to be aware. You have to be aware of all of the causes around you that you're creating and all of the effects that are created by those causes. This lesson here, I suggest that you watch this one a few times. Every cause creates effects. Every effect comes from a cause. You can create small, little incremental changes, causes, to be able to create better effects that are more in line with your standards, more in line with your values and beliefs and the thing that you're aiming at with your North Star towards your bullseye. Study this one. This is a really powerful lesson. I want you to consider this. The more discipline you have in your life, the more freedom that you have to experience. This comes from an amazing book and a philosophy by Jocko Willink, Discipline Equals Freedom. I suggest reading that book if you haven't done it already. The more discipline that you create in your life, the more freedom of choice you have to choose the experience that you want. When it comes to the analogy before, the causes equals the effects, every time that you're taking aim at your North Star towards your target, every time that you become more and more disciplined between your shot setup, between the execution, evaluating, pivoting, all these sorts of things, the more aligned towards your version of freedom of experience. We're eliminating the 99.999% of the experience of the world for your slim little 0.00001% of experience that is open and available to you. When you try to lower the amount of discipline that you have, you lower the amount of freedom that you have. The harder that you make your life, the easier you make your life. The more voluntary suffering you create, the less involuntary suffering you have to face. When it comes to creating a plan for your physical body, for the training that you do, for going for walks and self-care and all these other things that you do with your food and everything else, you need to have as much discipline as you can tolerate. And then always evaluate and raise the standards. Remember the business, raise your standards everywhere. The more that you raise your standards, the better life that you're going to have. Everything comes down to standards. So we're going to start here. We're going to create a plan, and that plan is unique to you. You don't have to train the 14 times a week like I do. Most weeks, I will train on average 6 times. I've gone upwards of 14 times. Do I like it? No. Sometimes. When it comes to the plan, my minimum expectation of training per week is 6 times. I train Jiu-Jitsu 4 times and weights twice. If I've got a quieter week where I don't have as many one-on-one contact hours with my clients or I'm not running groups or anything like that, I will schedule in some walks, I'll schedule in time with my kids, I'll go for a bike ride, I'll do whatever it is that is a part of like physical activity. It's not always about training. It's not always about the gym, not always about jiu-jitsu and running and all these sorts of things. It's about executing your plan flawlessly. And the best plan that you can have is the one that's up to your standards. So you're going to create a plan. You're going to execute the plan. You're going to evaluate the plan. That is you pivoting, realigning, and taking aim again. You're going to create a new plan, you're going to execute, and you're going to evaluate over and over and over ad infinitum. Literally, this goes on forever. This is the discipline cycle that you get into. You create the plan, you execute the plan, you evaluate the plan. Did it go well? If not, you evaluate, you tweak, you pivot. The new plan's in effect, you execute on the plan, you evaluate. Did it work? Fuck yeah, it worked really well. Let's keep going with this until I need to evaluate it again. Don't leave it too long in between evaluations. I tend to go month to month. That's kind of where I find my happy medium, where I know that I can make course corrections if I'm starting to go off the path. Allow yourself the freedom to have discipline. Allow yourself to be disciplined so that you can have more freedom. I want you to set up for probable success. So what is the success marker that you can do? If you can go for a run 3 times a week, fantastic. If that's the bare minimum standards that you can obtain, awesome. Keep doing it. Well done. If you don't like eating healthy food, start making healthier choices. What is the best plan for your probable success? I want you to focus on what is the thing that you can have faith in your belief system that allows you to have high value stimulation so that you can have probable success. Because I need you guys to get massive results really quickly so you have a big buy-in. You go, shit, this shit works. I'm teaching you guys the philosophy of creating a fuck yes life. Inside of that plan for probable success, you need to have contingencies. Life's gonna happen. If you've got kids, if you've got a business, if you've got a fiance, a partner, or whatever's going on, you know that shit is gonna hit the fan and you're gonna be the one who has to try and juggle it. It's not fun to do that. However, if you've got your contingencies in place, you're flexible, you can breathe, you can be easy because you're so disciplined. You've got the freedom to be able to choose and go, okay, instead of going to the gym, I've got to pick up the kids because one of them's sick, threw up in the sick bay, so I need to be able to look after that. I need to push work off here. I've got this contingency where I'm going to make my partner do this and this and this and this. I'm going to be able to go to the gym here. I'm going to be able to train here, look after this, look after my kid. I've got a plan for success. I've done this for years. I know that I'm gonna get a workout in no matter what. I had a mentor many, many years ago, 2011, when I was doing my certificate programs for fitness. She came in and says, the number one rule for being a personal trainer is personal first, training second. It's always about the person. Number two, if I don't train, my clients don't train. I thought, wow, that's a pretty selfish thing to think. And then she explained it. If I don't train, my mental health's gonna go to shit. It means that I'm not gonna focus on my clients. It means personal isn't gonna be first. It's not gonna be training. It's not gonna be anything. I'm not gonna be able to live because I'm going to be pissed off inside of myself because I didn't look after myself. Because I value health and wellness so much, I need to put me first so that I can look after everyone else. There's an amazing saying. If you don't look after number one, how are you meant to look after number 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on? If you don't look after yourself and treat yourself as if you matter, who else will? Do you think your family, your friends? Do you think your job cares if you get sick or injured and you can't work anymore? They're just gonna replace you. So you have to prioritize yourself. You have to put yourself on a pedestal and hold yourself to that level of standard. Never let yourself slip. You're human, you're going to slip, but always bring yourself back up. When you've got your contingencies in place, you're gonna be able to be flexible in adapting to the plan. You know that there's ways that you can get a workout in. You know there's ways that you can get good food in. Oh shit, I haven't got my prepped meals with me. No worries, I'm gonna go to Guzman, get a chicken burrito without cheese and without guac. I know that I'm having high carbs and high protein, so I need less fat, so this is the way that I'm gonna do it. There's a contingency in place so that you can be flexible on your path of discipline. Hold yourself to reasonable standards. Your standards are your standards. I can't set your standards. Always elevate your standards, yes, absolutely. However, you know what your bare ass minimums are. You know what you can stick to day in, day out, week in, week out, no matter what. Keep that as your level and then just keep elevating it from there. And then execute without questioning it, without feeling. When it comes to recovery, self-care for me, I love ice baths. Hate saunas, hate heat. Ice baths are my jam. It allows me to recover. When I jump into a cold plunge or an ice bath, I don't question it whether I feel like I want to do it. When I say go, I go. When I execute, I execute. There's no questioning it. There's no negotiating with that little part of myself that goes, oh, we don't need to do this today. And you know, that bitches out. That inner sook inside of me, he wants me to be comfortable. He wants me to curl up on the couch, watch some movie, eat some chips, eat some ice cream, cuddle my missus, and not do a cold plunge. Whereas I can't sit on the couch, have a bag of chips, watch a movie with the missus, cuddle up, experience love and stuff like that if I don't look after myself, if I don't do a cold plunge to be able to help my recovery. So the moment that I open up the cold plunge lid, clean my feet so that I don't bring any dirty shit into the pool, I go. I set the timer, set some music, and I go straight away. There's no negotiating whatsoever. When I say I'm gonna train, I train. When I say that I'm going to Jiu-Jitsu, I go to Jiu-Jitsu. When I say I'm spending time with the kids, I spend time with the kids. When I say that I'm having a beautiful intimate moment with my partner, I have a beautiful intimate moment with my partner. The more discipline that I create in my life, the more that I have to be able to choose freedom. The more experience I get to choose on my terms because it's up to my standards. It's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. And I have a fail-safe that if I ever have a really hard week where my body's beaten and broken, and there's been many times where that's been happening, I sit in front of my kids, hanging out with them, and I go, I don't want to train today. Instantly, I jump up to my feet, I go outside and I do a training session or go to the gym. I have this thing where I am the role model for my children, to be able to role model masculinity, what it is to look for in a partner, what it is to look for in a potential husband and a father of their children and all these sorts of things. I am the pinnacle of masculinity in their life, and I need to be that absolute top tier standard so that they know there ain't no shady little dusty ass boys that are gonna come in and ruin their lives. Because I used to be one of those dickheads. So the standards I hold myself to is what I'm role modeling to my children. If I ever utter, I don't want to train today, get up, go, do something. I need to show my kids that there's no negotiating with that inner voice. And we've all got that inner voice. For some of you, it might be louder than others. But when it comes to that voice, you need to silence it quickly. You need to show it who's in control. Because that thing, it wants you to stay soft. It wants comfort. It wants pleasure. Remember cause and effect, pleasure? It wants pleasure. It wants you to get all the dopamine, all of the serotonin, all of the other good feel hormones. It wants you to be soft. You need to tell that thing to shut the hell up, and that execution is key. I am disciplined so that I can have freedom. So there's gonna be times where I get to kick my feet up on the couch and have a cuddle with my missus because I create the discipline to be able to experience that when I want it, on my terms. Some of you guys might have seen this model before. For others, it's going to be brand new. I'm going to explain the way that our brain works and our mind works the best way that I can. We're going to take it step by step because at first glance, this is a pretty confusing model, but I'm going to bring you step by step through to be able to understand it in a very simple way. First thing that we're going to start with is our brain has these things called brain waves, and there's 5 different types. There's 8, but there's 5 different types that we're going to focus on here. The main thing that I want you to remember is that from 0 to 7 years old is where majority of everything that goes on inside of here is solidified into who you are. The reason for that is from 0 to 7 years old, you are a sponge. So think about a perfect brand new sponge that's come into this world and it gets dunked into a dirty sink water. Everything that is inside of that sink is going to get absorbed into the sponge. And that's what happens for the first 7 years of your life. The reason for that is from 0 to 7 years old, our brain operates between delta and theta brainwaves. So delta brainwaves is what happen when you're in the deep realms of sleep. Theta brainwaves are what happen when you are waking up from sleep. You know, when your eyes are closed and you're aware that you're awake, but you're not really awake, you're kind of asleep, but it's called this twilight state. In that state there, where your eyes are closed and you're aware of everything, you're in theta brainwaves. It's also the access to the subconscious mind. Keep in mind for that later when we start going into the realm of meditation and hypnosis. So because 0 to 7 years old, we are in this delta and theta brainwaves, you are extremely impressionable and you're extremely susceptible for suggestions. When you are 0 to 7, majority of your worldview is formed in that time because you're a sponge that's soaking up everything. So if you're like me and you've had a pretty rough upbringing with violence and alcoholism and all these sorts of things that have happened, that things that are getting stuck into your unconscious mind, to your subconscious, are getting stored because of that realm there. You can do a hell of a lot to be able to reprogram that. That's what we'll get up to when we start talking about hypnosis, meditation, repetition, subconscious mind and stuff like that. I want to give you guys a bit of an overview in this video before we dive heavily into that so that I can teach you guys how to make rapid change just like that. From 7 to 14 years old, you're operating between theta and alpha states. Alpha is a little bit more coherent, it's a lot more suggestible, yes, at the same time, it's where you get shit done, it's where you do a lot of learning. When you're in alpha state, think of it like you're in that flow state. Everything's aligned, you're moving really well. It's where you're practicing the things that you've done repetitiously over and over. So think sport, think school, these sorts of things. And then 14 years above, it's where you get access into beta brainwaves. Beta brainwaves are what you and I are operating in right now, unless you've done something to be able to calm yourself down. Beta brainwaves are very good for problem solving, very good for high abstraction and getting through chaos. They're not great for living a harmonious and peaceful life, being present. They keep you pretty distracted, pretty fragmented and anxious as well. I want you guys to understand this model here, these brainwaves here, you have access to whenever you want to. When you go to sleep, you're releasing delta brainwaves. When you're waking up, you're going into theta, into alpha, and then through the different ranges of beta brainwaves. There's one above, which is called gamma. Gamma is a very special place. It's where mystical experiences happen. It's where you become very visionary when you're doing like meditation, hypnosis, plant medicine ceremonies and stuff like that. You're really cooking when that happens, but that's a whole other video inside of itself. It's one of my biggest passions, but we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, everything that happens inside of this model, you'll be able to understand because of these here. Knowing that from 0 to 7 years old, this is how this is formed. The way our mind works is everything that comes from our perception is the 5 senses. So everything that we see, everything we hear, touch, smell, and taste. What goes on with the 5 senses we perceive, it goes in, filters through, and deletes, distorts, and generalizes. Have you ever thought of someone's name and you don't know where they sit in your mind, and you re-meet that person, you go, is their name John? Is their name Peter? Is it Steve? G'day, how you doing, mate? Yeah, it's Alan. Shit, I don't even remember how I met you. That happens because we either deleted a piece of information, we distorted it, or we generalized it as archetype of man. Man reminds me of Peter, Peter's his name. But it has nothing to do with that because it didn't, this is going to sound a bit dickish, that person didn't matter to you enough to be able to store their name properly in your mind because of these 3 things here. And the reason why these 3 things here, delete, distort, and generalize, is every moment, every second, your conscious mind can take in between 5 and 7 bits of information, plus or minus 2, depending on who you are and how much of this anxiety rectangle has stolen your attention. Perfect example here. Without thinking, without saying or I want you to list a name of specific things. I want you to tell me in the comments down below how many you got to before you thought consciously. And the thing I'm going to get you to list without saying or in the first second, as fast as you can, is car brands. Go.
how many did you get to? So there was a couple of seconds there. How many did you get to when I said car brands? So you might say things like Holden, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Mazda. I got 5. There we go. That was 5. So that's what your conscious mind can do. Latest neuroscience is showing that what your unconscious can do through all of this stuff here, your unconscious can process 16 million, some studies are saying 32 million bits of information every single second. So think of it this way. You've got a box of matches. A box of matches roughly has, depending on the size of the box, roughly has about 100 matches inside of it. You're picking up 1,600 of those every single second, and you're keeping track of every single one. Are you doing that consciously, or are you doing that unconsciously? And that's what our mind has the capabilities of storing, but it does through deleting, distorting, and generalizing. So after you've had a perception, something's come in through the 5 senses, it's been taken through your filters, deleted, distorted, generalized, it's then taken through your values, your belief systems, any decisions that you've ever made, your paradigms and patterns of behavior that you've done before. Everything happens in such a snap second that majority of the time, if you're unconscious and you're not aware of these things, you will not be able to change and stop the reaction that happens. There's something that I want you to consider. In between whatever event that happens through your 5 senses that you perceive, there is a moment for you to be able to pause deliberately, consciously, and then choose response. We're not going to act unconsciously from our values, beliefs, decisions, paradigms, and patterns anymore. Because now that you've known this, and it's now no longer unconscious, the moment it becomes conscious and in this light, it no longer wants to be there. It wants to return back to the subconscious, to the unconscious, and it wants to form a new identity. It wants to form a different pattern. The unconscious doesn't like to be seen. The unconscious likes to stay dormant and behind the scenes so that you're just moseying about doing life. The moment you bring attention to it, it'll transform. And that's what we're doing here. So, we've gone perception, delete, distort, generalize. We're going through your values, beliefs, so on and so forth. What happens in an instant second? It is combined with an internal picture. So an internal representation, that's either a bunch of words that you might see, it might be sounds, it might be taste, smells, whatever it is, but that has a picture or something very similar, or a movie inside of your head that you can bring these things called submodalities to. Very technical way of saying, forms a picture in your head. When I say, think of a coffee mug. In your mind right now, you have a representation of coffee mug. When I say waterfall, you have an image in your mind of waterfall. When I say beach, you have an image in your mind when I say beach. That is a specific internal representation to you. You can change that internal representation, but that's another video as well. What happens when you get a combined internal representation? It elicits a state, and a state is just an emotion. So it could be happiness, sadness, guilt, shame, resentment, whatever it is. And then it is coupled with physiology. So when you get angry, what tends to happen with the physiology when you get angry? You start to talk through your teeth, you tighten your jaw up, you start to get very tense, and your posture becomes bigger. You start breathing from your upper chest to be able to inflate, to intimidate, and then your gaze becomes very, very foveal. You're very perceptive of staring down the barrel. What happens when you become love? When you feel love, you feel joy. Oh, the posture softens, you start to talk a little bit airy-fairy, there's more air that comes out of the breath when you talk. That's the state that's going on. And you can change the state any single time that you choose to. A state change can be as simple as going, well, I'm going to change my physiology. I'm going to change my state, internal representation system. Now I'm doing the physiology of someone who's depressed. Think of it for yourself. How does someone who's doing depression, how do they act? Their shoulders slump. They avert their gaze, they might look out the corner of their eye. Their speech is usually pretty slow. There's lots of audible sighing because they feel the pressure of their nervous system. And now, in this depressed state, I feel like crap. I don't like how I feel. I don't even want to look at the camera to continue recording this. So how would I get myself out of this? I would basically change my state. And the way that I change my state is I change my posture. And instantly, I've got goosebumps running down my neck, my back, my arms, and I feel great again. You can change your physiology, you can change your state instantly. You just have to learn how to do it. So all of these things here are combined all at the same time. So everything that goes through the perceptions, delete, distort, generalize, through these things here, this happens instantaneously together, and then you have a behavior. That's why, have you ever noticed that people that are prone to anger, that are prone to using their fist in rage, it's because everything goes through this really, really quickly. Something happens in the outside world that they might not like, and internally they have made all these decisions in this paradigm with patterns where it says, this thing happens, this equals this. This thing happens, altercation happens, I swing and I knock someone out. I've known so many people like that, especially when they go through a bit of deletion, a bit of distortion through alcohol or other substances. That filter goes through the window. They're no longer operating from a place of values or beliefs or anything like that. They're operating from decisions, paradigms, and patterns because they've repeated it so many times that it's like fused into their nervous system, and this happens instantaneously. However, like I said, there is a gap. The moment that this happens, you've got a momentary gap to be able to take a breath and to be able to say, I choose different. I'm going to choose my response. In my response ability, it's my ability to respond instead of reacting. How mind-blowing is that now that I've just described the way that our mind works, the way that it gets filtered through our mind, and we have our perceptions to thank for that. You have your 0 to 7 years of what you were modeled, what you soaked in as a little sponge. Did you make all these decisions, or were they just thrust upon you? Because I know for myself, they were mainly thrust upon me. And that's why for the majority of my life, I lived like such a victim, because that's all I fucking saw in my outside world. Poor me, rot the government, go baker up over gambling, alcohol, violence, just all this sort of stuff. That was my childhood. I had some great things, absolutely, but you're pretty aware of the negative things because you want to stay away from the negative things, even though they get imprinted into you. So what we're going to do is we're going to start transforming this. The reason why I brought up in the video about values and beliefs being things of certainty, values being things that you hold priority to, these two things here, the reason why they're at the top of that list is they matter more than anything else. So if you value transformation, having a life that's on your terms, having that fuck yes life, you value transformation over anything else. Having a high value life, being of worth, of service, means that you want to always be the best version of you possible. So I commend you on being here for that. Well done. That's enough for this one. Let's dive into the next one. Previously, I taught you guys all the way that our mind works on a subconscious level, the way that we delete, distort, generalize, go through the 5 senses, that it's coupled with a whole bunch of things that are going on every single moment of every single day, every single second. You're processing between 16 and 32 million bits of information every single second of every single day. Even when you're asleep, your subconscious is taking care of absolutely all of that, so you don't have to consciously, so you can be aware of what it is to live everyday life. What would you do, or how would you think, if I told you that anything that happened in those first 7 years of your life that are put into you, installed into you, like the little sponge that you were, that you could change it very easily, extremely easily. Like so easy, in fact, that you would find it hilarious at how much you can change in such a short time. I'm going to teach you how to do that today. I'm going to teach you what meditation and hypnosis is all about. Meditation, translated direct from Tibetan, means to become familiar with. So you're going to become familiar with whatever it is that you're focusing on and meditating upon. If you want to meditate upon the mind, you can focus on the mind. You can get familiar with the mind. The same thing with hypnosis. Hypnosis is not the practice of learning to go to sleep. Hypnosis is actually learning to wake up. Learning to wake up, and I hate to use this term, but learning to wake up from the matrix that's around you, that programmed you, that turned you into a great little slave for late stage capitalism that it is right now. This is you. Look how good looking you are. You have a conscious mind, unconscious mind, and a critical faculty. Think of the critical faculty much like a security guard that's going to block off entry into the club if you're a little bit too intoxicated, except this does it with information. Then it goes through your perceptions, it deletes, distorts, generalizes your values, your belief systems, any decisions you've ever made, any paradigms and patterns that you have going on. It is taking care of the entirety of that 16 to 32 million bits per second, plus any decisions, so on and so forth, going all the way back until you were a glint in your father's eye. The critical faculty is blocking anything to go into long-term storage. That's the way that I want you to think of the unconscious mind. Think of it as long-term storage on a hard drive. If you've got an external hard drive and you're no longer using that information, it's taking up valuable space on side of your hard drive, you're going to transfer it into long-term storage where it's accessible. You can actually, double click on it and pull up an old video, an old photo, an old document if you need to use it. the thing with long-term storage in our unconscious, majority of the time we don't need it because this here is simultaneously happening all at the same time. So if your mind needs to access things from the past, it can. It has the availability to do so without you being aware of it. That's where triggers come from. That's where, if you've experienced trauma like myself, where you have a reaction instead of a response. Where, a perfect example, little segue. Everyone is well aware of the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal called Southpaw. It's where he's a MMA fighter, or a boxer or something like that. Basically his whole world gets taken away from him because his wife gets killed and his daughter gets taken away from him. If you're not aware of my story, I experienced domestic violence with my ex, the mother of my oldest daughter. She used to, smack me around, call me names, belittle me, left, right and center, sexual violence, financial violence, all the rest of the things. Like, it was fucking horrible. I then left her, started doing therapy, started doing really well for myself, got into the relationship that I'm in right now with my beautiful fiance, and we watched that movie Southpaw. An unconscious reaction happened inside of me when the police and the child services or whatever it was came to take Jake Gyllenhaal's daughter away from him in the movie. I ugly cried without being able to control it. It was the most gut-wrenching, terrifying cry that I've ever experienced, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I couldn't stop it, I couldn't control it. Rach had to put the movie on pause and ask me what was going on. I was inconsolable for the better part of half an hour, 40 minutes. Because all of this came to the forefront from the abuse that I experienced, not relatively close to where we were when we were watching that movie, but also all the abuse and everything that I faced, and the neglect and the violence and everything that I saw as a kid. That came out because I was unhealed, because I was a boy basically. I might have been 26 years old, but I was a boy internally. My mind was not fully developed and I had no idea that I was naive is what I was. Long story short, my security guard was, exhausted. He just stepped by the wayside and just said, come on in. This is the belief system you want to believe? You're a shit father? Sure, that can come in. You're never going to see your kids again? Sure, that can come right in. That's the way that my unconscious was processing things. And it was really hard to work through. It took me years to be able to get to the place that I am now because of all the abuse that I faced. The thing with this guy here, the security guard, he goes on holidays when you're in a state of fear. Think about what happened 4 years ago. I'm not going to get into it, but basically we were in this thing called mass formation hypnosis. Go look up Aubrey Marcus Mass Formation Hypnosis podcast, and you'll be able to watch that and understand the science behind what happens with a group of people, specifically the entire Western world, when they lose their minds and they all go after something. Think of Nazi Germany, think of the Soviet Union, Mao's China, Pol Pot's Cambodia, all these sorts of things are because mass formation hypnosis. That's as far as I'm going to talk about on that. If you want to look into it further, go for gold. When I was going through all the abuse and everything that I went through because I was in such a state of fear, my security guard, he was on holidays and I was left to fend for myself, and that's where all these terrible belief systems, you're not good enough, you're a terrible father, you're never going to see your kids again, these sorts of things started happening to me. The big thing that I want you to think about when it comes to hypnosis, meditation, and the way that your unconscious works is if you're in a suppressed state of emotions, so fear, jealousy, resentment, guilt, embarrassment, these sorts of lower gross sort of emotions, they're holding you captive to allow someone else to be able to use your mind against you. If you want to elevate yourself up and transform, that's the reason why you're here. This is why we're doing what we're doing, is to be able to build that fuck yes life. And part of building that fuck yes life is about creating a bulletproof mind where you're the one in control of you. We're going to figure out the way that the unconscious works in regards to hypnosis and meditation through this criteria here. So I've already got trust with you. I've already got rapport with you. You have a belief system inside of you that this is a possibility for you, that this is something that's really good for you to be able to create your fuck yes life. You're older than 8 years old. Hypnosis doesn't work to kids that are under 8. Meditation does, because it allows them to sit and be present if they're not ADD sort of thing, and then you're able to follow instructions. That's what hypnosis and meditation have to have as a prerequisite, as a presupposition, before you can do meditation and hypnosis properly. We are going to go from beta brainwaves down to alpha, down into theta, like that state that I told you about in the previous video, talking about the twilight state. When you're asleep, your eyes are closed, but you're kind of awake, your body's awake, you're thinking, you're aware of the noises around you. That twilight state is the state of meditation and hypnosis. So it's not woo-woo, it's not nonsense, it's legitimate. Every single day you do it twice a day. Every single day, every single human being goes through that state twice a day. That's hypnosis meditation state twice a day. So why is it that meditation has gained such popularity since the mid-2000s, realistically since the 60s, but we've been going through a bit of a resurgence with the psychedelic renaissance and meditation, mindfulness, the New Age movement, all these sorts of things. Why is it that people are more likely to do meditation than they are to go straight for hypnosis? And the reason is because of trust and rapport. Hypnosis has been bastardized by street performers, by stage hypnotists they installed this belief into the society, into the zeitgeist, that if you get hypnotized, you're going to cluck like a chicken. I can guarantee you that was the first thing that was in your head when I said we're talking about hypnosis today. Cluck like a chicken. Or I'm going to do things that I don't want to do. No, there's a part of you that actually wanted to do that thing, otherwise you wouldn't have done it, because you still have the ability to go against the suggestions, because you're still there and you're still present. The reason why meditation is the thing that everyone is comfortable to do, to be able to give it a go. Oh yeah, I'll give meditation a go. Yeah, I'll give it a go. People are, saying that if I do some transcendental meditation or some mindfulness meditation, that I can, stop the stress, stop the anxiety. I'll give it a go. What does that do? It builds trust and rapport. They have a belief system that it's going to work. They can follow instructions and they're older than 8. So what happens there? This guy, he disappears. There's no longer a security guard blocking off information to be able to go into the unconscious. So what happens with meditation is it bypasses the security guard, and this beautiful little divide that is in between your conscious and unconscious mind disappears. This guy, all of a sudden, this guy, he's no longer needed because he is a useful idiot. He becomes distracted because he's task oriented. So you get him to focus on your breathing, focus on counting, focus on sending that same quality of relaxation over your entire body. Focusing on different body parts, how the tongue is sitting in your roof of your mouth, how your bum's sitting on the chair, how that feels, if there's anything discomfort, if there's anything you need to do specifically to be able to create a bigger sense of relaxation. That is all for the conscious mind. And then the moment that guy's distracted, the unconscious is left open and free, these guys here, down here, your values, beliefs, decisions, paradigms, and patterns, they can be transformed. Everything is on the table, and it's like you've gotten the book out and you can take whatever the hell you want out or put whatever the hell you want in. Imagine if you had a belief system that was limiting you around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's hard to come by. You've got to work really hard for your money. Only the rich can invest. The rich are crooks. They rip people off. Whatever limiting belief that you might have, especially if you were brought up into the middle class of Australia like I was. Those were some of my belief systems back in the day. Now my belief systems are totally different. I'm not going to say what they are because I'm not a financial advisor and I can't be talking about finances outside of a general sense and a psychological sense. However, what are your limiting beliefs around that? What are your limiting beliefs around health? Well, you've got to train really, really hard to get the body you want. Really? Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. Is that what you want to believe? Or do you want to believe something different? Do you want to believe that it's so easy to transform your health and wellness? That you can be in shape easily, effortlessly, just by eating the right amount of food and being active because you love your body, you love to nurture your body. What if that was a more beneficial belief system that you could have if you could install that into what is already there, or remove what was there? Delete, distort, generalize a little bit, change, embellish the belief systems that you have, reprogram your value system so that maybe health and wellness is a little bit higher up, maybe making money is a little bit higher up, having better family values, having career-oriented, whatever it is. You can do that through hypnosis and meditation. If you want to be a little bit more direct, you go through hypnosis. Hypnosis is like, let's open up the door, let's bring in the delivery, let's put everything in place, let's make sure that the unconscious is happy with it, and then let's leave it to be. And then follow up with reaffirming behaviors to be able to make sure that the belief system stays in place. Meditation takes a lot of work. If you can't get out of your own way and you can't follow instructions very well, it's going to take a lot of repetition to be able to create that. Hypnosis is like a sledgehammer approach. It's go in, wrecking ball it down, replace what needs to be replaced, create new, create solid foundations, bolster it so that it stays strong, shut the door and leave it to be. That's why I love meditation and hypnosis so much. Meditation, more for relaxation. Hypnosis, when I want to be direct. When I identify something in my unconscious, maybe it's something that's a behavior that I don't like, and I want to change that thing and I want to change it right now. That's why I do hypnosis. And that's why I teach people hypnosis. Hypnosis is, in my opinion, it's the greatest underutilized tool for performance enhancement in life and creating life mastery and creating that fuck yes life over anything else that we have available to us. The ability to go directly to the source code, into the software of our mind, and change the things that are holding us back. Maybe you've got some things that are really holding you back. Maybe you've got some trauma, some pain that you need to get rid of. Maybe you've got stagnant negative emotions that are holding your body back and manifesting as physical ailments or injuries or disease. That's a radical concept, isn't it? What if you could change the way that you think, feel, and act so that it changes the way that your body deals with illness and injury and manifestations in the future? I'm going to say something that I don't know if I've said just yet to you guys in this program. You have unlimited potential. You can do, be, have, and experience anything that you want to, and therefore you choose to, and take massive action towards. If you create a belief system, a paradigm around your existence where you can transform anything just like that, you can and you will. However, if you're skeptical and you go, I don't know about this shit, you won't. I have such a radical belief in my ability to transform anything the hell that I want the moment that I click my fingers. Basically, I've got this book here. This is my journal. Abracadabra. I speak, therefore I create. Abracadabra in ancient Sumerian or Aramaic or whatever it was means I speak, therefore I create. This is my book that I write anything that I want to manifest. And majority of these pages in here that I've written things down, I'm not going to show you guys, I have crossed off because I've been able to create it. I speak, therefore I create. I write it down in that book and I leave it to go to my subconscious because my association with that book, the moment I write anything in that, my unconscious knows this fucking matters. So it's going to do it. It's going to do it and it's going to do it easily because that's the rapport that I have with my unconscious. If you were to click below, there's a couple of links to hypnosis and meditation tracks that I've made. There's a few men's only ones because I used to be a men's coach only. There's a few hypnosis and meditation for relaxation, for health and wellness, stuff like that. Click on those, noise cancelling headphones in, no caffeine, no stimulants within about 2-3 hours of doing this meditation. Ideally, do it first thing in the morning or last thing before you go to bed. I'm going to suggest that you look heavily into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work as well. He is he is the GOAT when it comes to this field of study. He is where I've learned everything that I know from when it comes to meditation, brainwaves, and outside with my hypnosis studies. This stuff will transform your life if you have the belief system and the trust to be able to allow the suggestions in, allow the transformation to take change, and then to take massive action in the future. This will change your life. This will create your fuck yes life.
In the previous video, we spoke about how meditation and hypnosis, changing the brainwaves, changing values, beliefs, paradigms, patterns, these sorts of things can be done in that trance state by getting down into alpha and theta brainwaves, allowing peaceful relaxation, allowing the subconscious to accept suggestions, not putting yourself into a state of fear, not putting yourself into a place of mass formation psychosis, and changing that way. That is the sledgehammer way. You can do that. The meditation way takes a little bit longer, takes a lot more effort to be able to do it. It takes a lot of focus and learning how to get into that state without someone making noises out of their face for you to follow the directions down to be able to relax and bypass that critical faculty. This way here, it's another way of doing so. So it doesn't require trance doing it this way. This involves a lot of conscious intention and a lot of application. This one takes a little bit longer. That's the only downside. There's many ways to skin a cat. You might not like trance, you might not like hypnosis because you're a little bit afraid of it still, and that's okay. This way you can still get a lot of change really quickly, but not as quick as hypnosis. This one here, how to change limiting beliefs. What the mind can conceive and believe, the body can achieve. It's a very cliche saying, but this saying is about 100 years old. It's by the guy who actually wrote this book here, Think and Grow Rich. The principle that I'm talking about here through repetition is one of the chapters inside of this book. It's called autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is self-suggestion. Like I said in the previous video, hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Actually, I don't know if I said that. Anyway, I digress. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Someone is making noises out of their face to be able to bypass the critical faculty, make sure your conscious mind is taking care of something, relax this part of your body, focus on your breathing, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to autosuggestion, being self-suggestion, you're teaching your unconscious mind over and over and over. And there's a few different ways that you have to do this specifically to make this work. And it starts with what we started with at the start. Everyone thinks about the strategy. How am I going to do it? How am I going to change? Wrong. You start with what? What do I want to experience? What do I want to feel? What do I want my life to be? How do I want my fuck yes life to be? We start with the state. In the previous video, I spoke about how you can change your state just like that, going from a depressed state to a happy state, to an empowered state, to an angry state. All these different states are emotions, and emotion is energy in motion. I'm going to teach you guys in this a very powerful, very, very powerful strategy to be able to do this first part of the state change. I'm going to teach you guys how to trigger certain emotional changes in your body deliberately, specifically when you need to tap into these energies. Okay? The next, we're going to figure out the why, the meaning, and then we're going to talk about the how, the plan. When it comes to this 3-step formula, it's about repeating this step formula. So you'll see here, keys to remember, repetition. Repetition is one of the easiest ways to be able to make sure that the unconscious is going to accept a new belief system, accept new values, accept new paradigms and behaviors to do. You need to couple it with powerful states, powerful associated states that you're looking at it through your own eyes. Not dissociated, it's not like you're looking at yourself sort of thing. It has to be an internal representation. Remember what we were talking about when it came to delete, distort, to generalize and all these sorts of things? It needs to be an internal representation where you see the picture, but you're looking through your own eyes in the picture. I'm gonna help you guys with this, so don't stress. You need to be able to visualize. That's a big part. So if you can't visualize, maybe you're auditory. Maybe you need to be able to make it sound like something. Maybe you need to hear yourself saying these empowered things. Or maybe you're kinesthetic and you talk a lot slower and you're kinesthetic. I'm not making fun, it's just how kinesthetic people talk. I'm auditory and visual. I need the two together. Auditory people, little sidebar, they talk really quickly. So I'm auditory learner. That's how I process the world. Hey, how does this sound? Hey, did you hear this? Like, that's the way that I represent the world around me. I can see visually and I need sounds to be able to couple it. Then you need to be able to create magic. Now the magic, this part here, we're gonna dive deep into that. This is what this is all about. It's all about magic. And I'm giddy with excitement to get up to this part. Magic is all of what I do. What I do with people to be able to help them tap into their unconscious, to reprogram belief systems, to be able to change their health and wellness, change their finances, their vocation, get more fulfillment, get more success, more love, and all these great things in life is the power of the magician. And I'm gonna help you tap into your own magician too. At the start of this mastermind, I asked you to figure out what it is that you want in your life and to write it down. Write a dream day in the life. What would it look like for you to live your life on your terms, living your fuck yes life, to have everything that you want to do? The job, the business, the partner, the kids, the training, the physique, the food you eat, the things that you see out your front window when you wake up in the morning, like all of these things. Write that down, get very specific. Now, we're going to get specific on what you want to feel. What are those positive emotions that you want to feel? Because emotions are energy in motion, and energy is going to help you carry in motion in towards the things that you want, towards that North Star, towards the thing that you're aiming at. Remember the archery analogy that I said. If you're not aiming directly at the things that you want, that you feel empowered and loved and successful and all these sorts of things, how do you know when you hit it? Because you can condition yourself now to understand what it is to live with that future right now. And that's magic. That's fucking magic. Then we're going to create the why behind it. Why do you want to feel this way? Why do you want to feel empowered? Why do you want to feel successful? Why do you want to feel loved? Let's get real deep into the roots. Why? Why? And then create the strategy. This is the game changer. When you learn this and apply it every single day, it will transform how you think, feel, and act forever. We're going to start with a bit of education around the 4 main archetypes, the primary archetypes. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a psychiatrist named Carl Gustav Jung. That is a massive, massive rabbit hole inside of itself. He hypothesized that there are archetypes and energies that people embody from a place called the collective unconscious. That's a very technical way of saying there's a bunch of energies that people operate in worldwide. That's as simple as I can put it. The archetypes that we're going to talk about are the 4 primary ones: the lover, the sovereign, which is the king or queen, the warrior, and the magician. There are shadow versions of these, which are not light archetypes. Obviously, where there's lights on me right now, it's casting shadows. The opposite versions of these are the disempowered versions. The disempowered version of the lover is the prostitute. So if you look quickly, standards, values, beliefs, and requirements. When you are in your lover energy, you're instigating things, you're creating. That's what we're doing right now. That's what the R.Y.S.E Movement is all about. The R.Y.S.E Movement is all about instigational and creational energy coming from the lover archetype. You're creating new values, new beliefs, new standards, new requirements, and you are creating boundaries more than anything else. The moment that you operate from the shadow version of the lover, which is the prostitute, your standards are for sale, your values are for sale, your beliefs, your requirements, you have no boundaries, and your body is for sale. You are literally prostituting who you are, and your body becomes for sale. It's a little bit disgusting to sit with, so that's why we want to sit in the lover archetype. We want to make sure that we are making empowered decisions, embodied decisions coming from this place of instigational standards, requirements, values, and beliefs. That's why we do what we do. That's where that energy comes from. Then we move on to the sovereign. So the lover starts everything. It's instigational in nature. It's primary. It's number one. Then we move off to the sovereign. The sovereign is the one who sees over the land, sees over the scape of your life. And it says, I make these decisions. And it will be because it is so. And that's the decree that you make. They also command. It is like, I determine my life to be up to those standards because I am worthy. Because this is how I do things. This is who I am. And it holds up such a powerful domain over your life that you'll know when you're in the king or queen energy. You'll know because you command presence, you command authority, respect, and understanding. You can communicate freely with people and not belittle people and not talk down to them. The opposite side of the sovereign is the toddler, it's the child. Think of it like the high chair tyrant. Think of it as a child throwing a tantrum. That's what the opposite of the sovereign is. They get their way by throwing a tantrum. The child flips shit, they make life hell for everyone else around them, and they go, fuck, just give it to them sort of thing. The child comes from, if you've looked at Steve Cartman's stuff, the drama triangle, I'm not gonna go into that now, but it's very much coming from the victim archetype as well. It's all about like, poor me, it's very enabling, it's pretty disgusting. The next one, the warrior. The warrior is the action taker. The warrior is the one who sets forth and is relentless towards the thing that they want. So we've gone from the lover creating the instigational energy, creating the new paradigm, values, beliefs, standards, and requirements. The sovereign has said, I decree it, this is my decision, I will make it so. The warrior is then the one that goes and takes action towards it. The warrior is the one that will move hell and high water to be able to achieve whatever the instigational energy comes from the lover says. And the sovereign will make sure that it is ordered and commanded that you go take forth. You go create that thing and do not stop until it's done. The opposite side of the warrior is the victim. The victim sits back and goes, oh, it's so hard. Why does this always happen to me? Nothing's ever good enough. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. We're living in 2024 in the victim Olympics. The opposite of the warrior. Instead of relentless momentum moving forward, it's sitting back and bitching about how hard life is. Yeah, life's pretty fucking hard out there. However, if you bitch and moan about it, you're gonna be a little victim about it. It's gonna suppress you, it's gonna hold you back, and it's gonna keep you where you are, stuck. And we don't wanna be stuck. We have so much potential, unlimited potential, to be able to go do, be, have, and experience anything that we want to. And the warrior is the one that creates that to happen. Then we move on to the magician. The magician it's the magic. It's where the manifestation comes in. It's where time horizons shrink down really, really quickly. If you are aligned in your lover, king, queen, warrior, and then your magician comes online, the magician is the one that can collapse time and space. The magician is the one who can click their fingers and all of a sudden it will be so. The magician is the one who says abracadabra, and there it is. Think of magic as any time where things have popped up into your life that have brought you much surprise, where you go, oh my God, I can't believe that this thing happened. I can't believe that this is here right now. Like, I only just spoke about this thing. I only just thought about this thing. Or you get a phone call from someone going, oh my God, I was literally just thinking about you, your ear's burning. That's the magician energy. And we can all tap into that whenever the hell we want to. One of the things that, a little bit of a sidebar, one of the things that with all of my psychology studies over the last 15 years, I very much came from the opposite of this and the opposite of the magician. And I was prostituting my body. And the thing is, if you're in one shadow or you're in all, You can't operate singular from just the victim or just the prostitute. The opposite of the magician is the saboteur. It's still magic, but it's magically fucking up your life. So if you want to stop fucking up your life, come from the place of the magician, the light archetypes. The saboteur will literally try and blow things up in your path and be like, oh, see, now it didn't work. And that's the victim talking through the magician. I used to have such a victim complex. I used to self-sabotage everything. Everything in my life was about short, instant gratification. It would be masturbation, sex addiction, alcohol, gambling, video games. It was living a poor life. I hated my life, and I always felt victimized by life. I was always like, why does bad things keep happening to me? Am I a bad person? No, it's because my psychology was fucked up from my childhood. And I didn't know what I didn't know because I was naive, because no one in my life ever prepared me for real life. And that's what I'm doing here as like a mentor, or as a coach, or like an older brother sort of figure or anything like that, or to you younger ones out there, even to like a father figure. I want to make sure that I can give you guys all of the things, all of the tools, the resources and everything that I didn't have growing up, that formed the psychology that I have right now, that formed my life's philosophy, so that you guys don't have to suffer any longer. And you can walk in the footsteps and role model someone else who's been there and done that before you. Fuck, I hated my life. So once you come from the light archetypes, you create instigational energy, you create new standards, values, requirements, and belief systems. You hand that over to the sovereign energy. You stand powerful and you say, I will make it so, and I say this, and this is my decision, and I'm firm in it, I'm confident in it. The action taking happens from the warrior. The warrior moves forth relentlessly. You hand it off to the magician. You collapse time and space and you create abracadabra. I speak, therefore I create. Once you do that, you need to be able to create your specific incantation to be able to see it, hear it, and most importantly, feel it. So what do I mean by an incantation? An incantation is a certain phrase, maybe an affirmation that you repeat over and over and over. Remember, we're talking about reprogramming the subconscious mind. So let's say you have a belief system around money, that money's hard to come by, and the rich are only rich because they rip people off, something like that. It's a very disempowering sort of belief system that's holding you back. What if you could create, and I'm not saying that you do this, but what if you could create a belief system that says something like, money's like a video game and I can create it as easy as that? That's a pretty empowering belief system, isn't it? What do you believe when I say that? Did you come up with a bunch of hang-ups and go, you're full of shit, Dave? Because that's my belief system. I know that I can click my fingers and create money wherever the hell that I want to. I know that this year being the year of the dragon, 2024, it's also in Chinese numerology, the number 8 year, that it is the year of prosperity and finance. Because I'm looking for congruent factors, for conflating factors to be able to align to the thing that I'm looking for, so that I can use magician energy, collapse time and space, and be able to manifest here, right now. You can do the same. Absolutely, you can do the same. So when I say create an incantation, what does a magician do? They cast spells, don't they? A magician casts spells. They say abracadabra, alakazam, let this thing be so. I want you to think of the magician as the language that you use, as the communicator that you are. If you're not an effective communicator and you haven't studied language, you haven't studied where our words actually come from, you won't have made the associations that is inside of the English language. When we talk about spelling, why do you think that it's called spelling? Because it's magician energy, it's magic. When we're speaking English, we are casting spells. What about the word television? Tell a vision. What are the TV shows and movies back in the old scheduling of programming and stuff like that? What are they called? It's a TV program. Tell a vision programming. You're casting spells. It's an incantation. You're reprogramming the linguistics inside of people's minds so that they turn on the idiot box and they believe everything that happens, because it's tell a vision. You're telling that vision. I can't state this enough. The English language is full of magician energy. However, it's not all light archetypes. A lot of the time it's dark and manipulative, and it's subvertive, and the English language is it's an interesting thing to study. I strongly suggest that you go buy some NLP books or something like that to be able to figure out why we can manipulate people with our words so easily. Again, look back to the last 4 years. What are the things that they said? What are the things that they covertly, systematically created linguistically to be able to confuse you so that you went into mass formation psychosis in a state of fear? Think about it. What do? They told a vision. They sure did. They created some very powerful spells. That is what you can do for your life. So an incantation is making a powerful spell that is something to do with you. So now we're going to get into the exercise, and this exercise will blow your mind. I want you to stand up wherever you are. Doesn't matter if you're at home or at work or whatever you're doing. I want you to comply with this 100% coming from my king energy. Take a few breaths. Center yourself into your body. And I want you to notice that each of these energies will sit somewhere uniquely inside of your body. And without questioning it, without thinking about it, we're going to start with the lover. I want you, with your hands, to address wherever the lover energy sits inside of your body. So for me, the lover energy is on my chest. It might be different for you, but I want you to signal it with your hands. And then you're going to notice that that energy looks like something, might have a color to it. Whatever that color is, I want you to address it without thinking, and I want you to turn it up. Turn it up so that it's nice and bright and beautiful. Turn it up so high that it's almost overpowering. Keep turning it up until it gets to the point where it's almost overwhelming. You can feel it and it's getting immersive. You're seeing this color bright and vividly in front of you. Now, I want you to notice that the lover says something. What's the thing that the lover says that's specific and unique to you? I know what my lover says, but I'm not going to color it into your worldview. What is that unique thing that the lover says? What is it saying to you? Is it a phrase? Is it a noise? Is it something that it's like an incantation that it needs to affirm to you? Whatever that is, I want you to say it. Now, what does the lover feel like? What does that sensation feel like? Is it overwhelming gratitude? Is it love? What does that lover feel like? And then just like 3, 2, 1, lock that in place, make it stored deeply into the unconscious mind, easily and effortlessly, ready to be accessed whenever you want, whenever you need, whenever you try. Same thing, I want you to notice. Take a few breaths, come back to the room. I want you to notice, where would that sovereign energy be? That king, queen energy. Where does that sit inside of your body? Wherever that is, I want you to address it. I want you to put your hands on it. When you put your hands on it, just notice it. Close your eyes down. I want you to see the color that it is. I want you to see it bright, beautiful, vivid. Turn the contrast up, turn the brightness up, turn it up so that it's so intense, so that it's so overpowering. It gets to the place where it's almost overwhelming. And then I want you to lock that in. What does the sovereign sound like? What is it something that they say? Is it like a decree? Is it a commandment? Is it something that they address yourself or your subconscious or the nation with? How does the king, queen, sovereign energy talk? How direct are they? And ultimately, what does that feel like? What does that feel like? What is the sovereign making you feel right now? Feels pretty powerful. Feels pretty embodied. It feels pretty all-knowing, all-powerful, almighty, isn't it? The one who can make the decisions for every aspect of your life. Now I want you to move on. Come back into the room, take a deep breath, and I want you to notice where that warrior is. Where does that warrior sit inside of your body? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to put your hand wherever that warrior sits inside of your body. And you're going to notice something. You're going to notice that there's a color. There's an association. That color is going to be powerful. It's going to be big, it's bright, it's powerful. Oh my God, I can feel the warrior inside of me now, as you can too. I want you to turn it up so bright, so powerful, and I want you to notice what the warrior sounds like. Maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's a noise, maybe it's something that you never even thought of before. What's the noise that the warrior makes? I want you to notice what the warrior feels like. The warrior feels strong. The warrior feels powerful. The warrior feels like it can do absolutely anything. What are the emotions inside of the warrior? And I want you to lock that in place. 3, 2, 1, lock in place. Much like a Tupperware lid, locking and closing in place. And then finally, the magician, the manifester. That magician energy is sitting somewhere inside of your body. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to put your hand somewhere on your body where that sits right now. And I want you to notice the colors. I want you to notice the sensations. I want you to notice what the magician says to you. What is this something that the magician says? Does it make a sound or does it have a phrase? And whatever that is that it's saying to you, I want you to turn that volume up. I want you to listen carefully, cautiously, deliberately, specifically to that magician, because the magician is always trying to manifest. The magician is always trying to create magic in and around your life. I want you to notice the feeling that the magician has. Is it a feeling of confidence, security, assuredness, abundance? knowing that you can tap into this magic at any times. I want you to notice where that magician sits in your body and feel it deeply. And I want you to turn the audio up specifically so that you can hear it whenever it starts to talk to you, whenever that little whisper of intuition, because that's your magician. Whenever that whisper starts to come through, you pay attention to that. And I want you to lock it in, much like that 3, 2, 1 locked in place, much like a Tupperware lid locking in. And then I want you to come back into the room, shake your body out, make sure that you are still standing for this. We are going to go through and trigger each of the primary archetypes. Close your eyes down. I want you to put your hands on where the lover is. And I want you to say out loud as you can, as powerfully as you can, what the lover says. I want you to say it loud, say it proud, say it over and over and over. This is what my standards are. This is what my values are. These are what my requirements are. The lover energy says exactly this. Go hard, talk it up. I want you to feel deeply what that lover is saying. Now, moving on, I want you to say what the king is telling you. I want you to speak it loud, speak it with a decree. I want you to talk it open to the court of your life. I want you to say exactly what it says. I want you to say exactly how it sounds. I want you to speak and command presence. Now moving on to the warrior. The warrior is the one that goes and takes action, but the warrior has a very special message for you. That warrior is telling you something specifically that you always needed to know, that ultimately deep down unconsciously you always knew, that you have the power inside of you, that you can have and experience anything that you want to. I want you to feel that deeply, and I want you to scream it out loud as you can. Get loud, get proud. Make sure that you fully associate yourself into the warrior. I want you to embody what that feels like. Notice the tingles, notice the sensations, notice the energy rising through your body as that lover and king and queen and warrior lock itself in place. Now, I want you to stand nice and powerfully, chest up tall, knowing that we've locked 3 of them in. And I want you to allow the magician to talk through you. The magician is poised, is present, and is all-knowing. It is the humble student on the journey, knowing that even on the path of mastery, even creating a fuck yes life, that it is humble to continue learning, to continue speaking, to communicating, to being able to uphold everything and create a manifestation so easily, so succinctly, through affirmation, through incantations, that it is so. I speak, therefore I create, abracadabra. Now I want you to turn it up. I want you to talk loudly what that magician is saying. I want you to speak fluently, effortlessly, as if it just rolls off the tongue, knowing that whatever elegance that you speak from that magician